And so we go on a Thursday to start the month of November, folks. Welcome in. New scene for us this week in this month of November. We're at the beautiful UKnighted Public House on 26th Street. This place is packed, hustling and bustling as per usual, and we're more than thrilled to be with you here in the middle of downtown Mill Creek. Welcome in, everybody. This is the United Podcast, as always, brought to you by our friends at John Russell Hospitality, and, of course, for the first time ever at the UKnighted Public House. Got a great show planned for you tonight as we kick off the month of November. It is exciting chaos. That would be the terminology we would use for Gannon Athletics in the month of November, because playoffs are here and they are steadfast for the next 30 days plus. So many of our fall sports teams in such great position to do so well in postseason. Not to mention, as we go through the playoffs, more and more teams will continue their runs through the regular season as well. It's exciting chaos. It's also crossover season for Gannon Athletics, which means we just have a lot of things going on in a short amount of time, and it means that we have packed shows throughout the entire month of November. So thanks again for joining us, however you may be watching us, whether it's live tonight on YouTube, on our social media platforms, or whether you're right behind me here at the UKnighted Public House and you're tuning in on your phones, grabbing something to eat. Thanks for being with us. A lot of great things happening tonight, so let's not waste any time. Let's show you what we have on tap for this evening as we go through our show rundown. A lot happening, like we said, this evening, because crossover season's in full swing. We'll start tonight with a preview of the CCA Tip-Off Classic, which, if you can believe it, is tomorrow. I know, it's crazy. We've been talking about this for months, but finally it is here. Tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, kicks off the CCA D2 Women's Basketball Tip-Off Classic. Cleve Wright going to join me with a recorded interview in a couple of minutes to talk about that. Not to be outdone, winter sports, in addition to basketball, have started. Women's wrestling, men's wrestling, with a couple of great duels in their opening meets last weekend. Erin Vandiver and others will be joining us from women's wrestling in a few minutes from now to talk about their success to the start of the season. They had a couple of incredible performances, as well as what we consider to be a strong fifth-place finish at the ESU Open in a long Sunday meet last weekend. Of course, we'll continue to show you some of the awards that some Gannon student athletes won this week, including some images from our Belonging campaign that we're doing in conjunction and in tandem with the NCAA throughout yesterday and today. So lots going on, lots to get excited about. Let's not waste any time, because this is a packed show in a packed building and a beautiful and wonderful restaurant. And we always start our show with Dish of the Day. So some new dishes coming this month as we move to a new location. This one, not going to disappoint. Let's show you our Dish of the Day here to start off this November 6th episode of the United Podcast. Everybody loves a Reuben sandwich, but what's better than a Reuben sandwich? Well, a bunch of little Reuben sandwiches, specifically the Reuben rolls. These are absolutely delicious, and you can get them at the UKnighted Public House tonight and every single night. Get a side of sauce with that, as well as I bring it live to my camera. It's been sitting in front of me all show, so you've been able to see it for the first few minutes here. One of the great items that they have here at the Public House, we've highlighted the flatbreads at the Tap House, other dishes at Pier 6 from the seafood variety, and this is one of those dishes that just never disappoints. It is our dish of the day, which is the Reuben rolls here at the UKnighted Public House. You can pick that and so many other great food and drink options up today, wherever you get your dishes around the John Russell hospitality area. So excited to present that dish to you tonight. So much great food and drink, like we said, at the UKnighted Public House. All right, speaking of things that we talk about every single week, we always bring up Dish of the Day. We also bring up this, the Golden Ticket Giveaway, which we have a lot of people who have already entered this week their name into the pot. Why is that, you might ask? Well, it's because anytime that you attend the United Podcast live in person, you get an opportunity to enter your name into a drawing for a chance to win free season tickets for an entire season. Yes, not just 2 games, not just a week, an entire season, because that's what we're doing this year. You just have to come to wherever the podcast is live in person, show a proof of purchase. You get a name into a hat for an opportunity to win that free season tickets for an entire year. So why not take advantage of this great opportunity and not waste your time anywhere else? Just make sure that you head over to the United Podcast every single week with an opportunity to win free season tickets for an entire season That, of course, is throughout the entire year. So make sure to stay tuned for more information each and every single week on the United podcast. All right, in just a few minutes, women's wrestling joining us. Before we get to that, though, let's talk a bit about the CCA D2 Tip-Off Classic, which is literally tomorrow. Less than 24 hours from now, we tip off an extremely exciting tournament in women's basketball in which we feature some of the top teams across the country, including our own Gannon Golden Knights. 6 games at the Highmark Event Center, 6 games at Macomb Fieldhouse in Edinburgh, 5 and 7 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, and of course, 2 and 4 o'clock on Sunday. We caught up with Cleve Wright a short while ago to preview the tournament, him getting ready for number 2 Union tomorrow night at 7 o'clock and what will be a blockbuster to start the year in Division 2. Here's Coach Wright with the excitement behind the CCA Tip-Off Classic. We're done talking about it. The talk's done. Now we're finally hitting the pavement. 24 hours from now, the CCA Tip-Off Classic will be in operation when we have our first game of the night, Friday at 5 o'clock, followed by the Gannon Golden Knights against Union, 2 versus 5 of the country to start the year in the CCA. Coach Cleve Wright joining us. We had Mark Generetta on the podcast last week, and I was fascinated. I'm sure a lot of people fascinated to know that this process of bringing this tournament to Erie has been a couple of years in the making. Can you just take me through what that process was like for you and being able to bring this tournament here?
Oh, well, I have to give a lot of credit to Erie Sports Commission and wanting to bring this event, and also to our athletic director at the time, Lisa Goddard McGurk. I think that was they had seen the events that we had went to in the past, and I think there was an interest in trying to bring something really cool like this to Erie, and have the Erie community have the benefit and have the just the fun of having a tournament like this.
Yeah. And you go back a couple of years ago, you start the process, you didn't know what it was going to be then, and finally you get it official that it's going to come to Erie. I know that you've been a part of this tournament for the last couple of years, and a lot of people think of early season tournaments as, well, they're good tests, but in the long run they don't matter. But this one clearly matters from your team's perspective. Take me through what this tournament does to help a team like Gannon, like others, and the experience maybe you've had in the last couple of years.
Well, I think when you think about what matters, does it matter for the end of the year? I don't know, but I do know this, that it does give us an idea of where we're at at this point in the season. It gives us a chance to get started early. It gives us a chance to play really good competition. These are exempt games for people that don't know. The NCAA allows us, there's a limit to how many games you can schedule, but there are also exemptions. In other words, we can schedule 26 games, but there are exemptions that the NCAA gives you, and this is one of them where we can play 3 games and it not count against those 26 that we're allowed to schedule. So that's very helpful. So it allows us to play 29 games, and in the past, we've been able to schedule as many as 31 games, and so that's always helpful. And I think that's one reason why it does make it matter. This one's a really cool one because the competition is at least the reputation of the competition, because we all know things are the landscape is different, and every team can change so dramatically from year to year. That this one matters because of the reputation of the teams that are coming. Some very veteran coaches. Just going to be a lot of fun. Did you expect to have this sort of talent on this floor when you started the process of getting this tournament to come to Erie? Well, I have to tell you, that's who we pursued. Yeah. Right. We were trying to pursue teams of that caliber because we wanted to bring that kind of event to Erie and to Edinburgh as well, and we wanted that. And so for the most part, that was the initial thing. And just very fortunate that we were able to work it out. Let's talk about the beginning of the season, then we'll get into the tournament a little bit. You said that it's a positive to play in this tournament, but also, in a way, some of a challenge because you don't have as many practices before you begin games, right? I mean, you're starting the season quite literally a week, 2 weeks, for some teams 3 weeks earlier than what the season starts. What's that been like, that process of you got to cram a lot into a little bit of time, I imagine? Exactly. Well, that's the other, and I don't want to get too technical, but the NCAA only allows us they allow us to start practice 35 days out from the regular season start. Right. Not this start that's a week early, but the regular season start, and you get to practice 25 times, 25 days out of those 35 days. the games that we're playing count as one of those 25. So we're playing 3 games in this. So that dropped us down to really 22 practices in that 35-day period, plus these 3 games. And well, then we had 2 scrimmages on top of that. So in reality, we've had 20 practices, 2 scrimmages, and we'll have 3 games before we actually play in the opening weekend in our region challenge, the 15th and 16th of November.
Which everyone thinks about. There's so many tournaments that you're playing in, but in reality, that's normally the start of the season for so many teams.
Exactly.
But you're used to it because you've played in the CCA now for what will be 3 years straight. Let's look into a little bit of the teams that we have coming in, specifically your opponents. Preseason rankings, you'll play the 2 and the 4 team of the country with Union, North Georgia, and you don't really get a rest with Northern Michigan either. Let's start with your opponent on Friday. Union, Mark Campbell, legendary head coach. It'll be his last year at the helm. What do you anticipate from that game tomorrow night when you take the floor on Friday?
Yeah, I think, Union's very good. Obviously, they went the Elite Eight last year, or maybe people don't know that, but they went the Elite Eight last year. They went in one more round than we did, so made it to the Final Four. Their style's very much like our men's team. They like to press. They like to play full court, and they like to play transition. And so, so the way our men play is a lot the way they play. I think they play a lot like our Seton Hill did. If you're thinking in our league, if somebody wants to be familiar, it's kind of like that. They're not identical, but that's the style they're going to play. Mark is, he's announced his retirement. He's a legend. He's also the athletic director at Union, and I think the guy is just a class act. It's a great program. We're excited about the challenge of playing them.
And meanwhile, Saturday, you flip the script 24 hours later, Northern Michigan. They're another team that has been right there in the thick of things for years as well. You got your hands full on Saturday, as you told me before we started this interview.
Northern Michigan has traditionally been extremely strong, and they certainly are headed in the right direction now. Made the NCAA tournament last year. Played very well in the GLIAC, which is a tough conference. Of course, Grand Valley, being the national champion, is in their conference, and so Northern Michigan has quite several returners back, and so I think they're going to be a very, very strong team.
Speaking of strong teams, I look at North Georgia's roster, which right now only has 10 players on it, but essentially that's really all they need because they are tough to play against as well. What do you expect on Sunday when you take on the Nighthawks?
Yeah, the only thing I'm talking about is the reputation of these teams. The only team I'm worried about right now is Union.
Right, right.
Then after that one's over, I'll be concerned about Northern Michigan, and after that one, I'll be concerned about North Georgia. Sure. North Georgia finished number 1 in their region in the region rankings, and for them, unfortunately, they were upset and weren't able to make it to the Elite Eight. But they hosted it, and have a legendary coach there, a longtime coach, and she's won a lot of games there. I wonder who picked these opponents.
It's a good question. It's one of the two of us that are sitting here, and it wasn't me. So by process of elimination, it's almost like you wanted to plan it that way. But it makes for good basketball, and it makes for exciting games, good competition. But for the fans, and that's a big part of the reason why this tournament's happening in Erie. Mark talked about last week on the podcast that the fans and the basketball passion that's in Erie, it's a big part of the reason why the tournament's here. You've been around enough to know how dedicated the Gannon fan base is. There's a good fan base out in Edinburgh. What's this tournament going to do to help maybe even aid further that fandom in Erie and Edinburgh and the surrounding area?
Well, I think people are going to see good basketball. How cool is it that you're going to see teams from Minnesota, a team from obviously a couple teams from Michigan, a team from Tennessee, a team from Georgia. We're bringing people in from several states, and you get the opportunity to see some differences in style, in play. I think people are excited about the season anyway. Again, the season starts a week early. In Gannon, Edinburgh, Erie loves basketball, and so we get a chance to have this kind of game, this kind of competition, this early in this community. I think it's going to help us. I think it helps our community to kind of get that itch going because they're ready to go. It helps our team with this early start. And I just think overall, I think it's going to make no matter what happens, it's going to help make our team better. And I hope it gets people excited about basketball and ready to go. We play 5 games at home, 5 straight games at home, 3 this weekend and 2 the following weekend. So we're excited to see our fans back. We want to see new fans. Hope we see a lot of young people. Hope we see students and in the stands, and just to have a great weekend.
I can imagine your team's ready to go too. Practice is one thing, but getting a chance to put on the uniform is another.
Oh, they're pumped. They're pumped. Again, we do have 13 returners, so several of our players have been in this situation before, but on the road. And it is a little different when it's on the road. But they know, at least we've experienced it. And I think several of the teams that we're playing have experienced it as well. We won't be the only one. And so we're excited, and we'll see what happens. I do want to mention, and you probably already mentioned, and I'm sure Mark did, but just so thankful for the Erie Sports Commission and their organization of this, and their just putting their time in it and their effort, and then also AHN Sports Medicine and AHN Pavilion and their fantastic sponsorship of this event. And I'm sure there's some other sponsors. Those are the main sponsors of this event, and they've made it, I think, special. I think our players, and I think the players who participate in this, are going to really have an appreciation for how much Erie has put into this. We just want it to be a great event for all of us.
At John Russell Hospitality, every restaurant tells a story of flavor, community, and unforgettable moments. From handcrafted meals to welcoming spaces, we bring people together around a table. John Russell Hospitality, where great food meets genuine companionship. Make sure to visit one of our 6 locations today.
Let's talk what's on tap for this weekend. The better question, I think, is what's not on tap, because literally everything is happening this weekend, and we love it. We're here for it. Just like Bree Claxton wants you to attend games and events, we want you to attend and be a part as well. Let's start at the top. Of course, we just came off the interview with Coach Cleve. Women's basketball starts the D2 CCA Tip-Off Classic tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for Gannon, 5 o'clock for the first game. So games are Friday and Saturday at 5 and 7, Sunday at 2 and 4. The Golden Knights will have the 7 o'clock and 4 o'clock games on the weekend. And, of course, the huge one tomorrow night, number 2 in the country, Union, versus number 5 in the country, your Gannon Golden Knights. So make sure to be loud, be proud, and be ready for the start of the women's basketball season. Football back home Saturday as well, a nice appetizer to what will be the CCA Tip-Off Classic day number 2. They're back in action against Cal Saturday at noon. Volleyball starting to get close to the end of their regular season. They, of course, wrapped up the number 1 seed in the PSAC West last week. They'll take on Seton Hill and Cal on the road for a doubleheader on Friday and Saturday. Cross country, huge meet coming up for head coach Rob Aarons and the Golden Knight men's and women's team. They're at Lock Haven on Saturday for the D2 Atlantic Regional, with a lot of national hopefuls in the wings. Can Emily Bowers, Luke Molina, and the rest of that team have a bevy of qualifiers make nationals? We'll find out on Saturday. Looking forward to that event coming up in a couple of days from now. And, of course, cannot forget more of our winter team swimming. Back in action Saturday at Case Western Reserve University for a 1 o'clock dual meet against Case Western Reserve. And men's and women's wrestling, they're not wasting any time either. Right back in action after a busy weekend of their own, and we're going to get to women's wrestling in a second. Men are at the Ohio Open in the Land on Sunday. Meanwhile, women's wrestling, they have the Adrian Duels and the Adrian Invite back-to-back days, Saturday and Sunday. So if you thought last weekend was busy, folks, there's a lot more Golden Knight athletics and a lot more excitement where that came from. Speaking of winter sports and teams that are back in action this weekend, we are very pleased to be joined at none other than the UPick6 Public House by head coach Aaron Vandiver and Bella Phillips from women's wrestling. And I have to ask, are you both still recovering, or have you recovered from the meet that took place on Sunday? Because it ended unbelievably late.
Yeah, it's kind of a Cinderella story almost. We were wrestling till almost midnight the Stroudsburg last weekend. But, yeah, I think we're recovered and getting there, ready to head out again tomorrow.
That was a long meet, Bella. We're going to talk about it in a second, but you literally didn't end your night until 11 o'clock. You were wrestling the second to last match. That had to have been a grind, right? Because you started way early in the morning.
Yes, it was a little bit of a grind. I didn't actually wrestle until midday. So we warmed up, and then I had a good 6 hours of just waiting. So
That's lovely.
Yeah.
You get there early and you know you're not going to compete till later. But
Yeah.
first of all, congratulations on a great team finish, Coach. I want to talk about the ESU Open. You end 5th out of 36 teams, a very impressive feat. Bella claims the individual championship. You had a bevy of other wrestlers as well that were on the podium, ended up getting great finishes. And I think this is a lot of the expectation of what you hoped at the beginning of the season. But what do you make of your performance on Sunday to begin the season?
Absolutely. It was a great start-off point for us for this year, for this season. A lot of good matches, like you said, some women getting their first collegiate wins, a lot of medalists, finalists, and a champ. And 5th as a team and real close. You know, the 2, 3, and 4s were 4 points away. So we're right there neck and neck and building momentum.
And when you talk about 2nd, 3rd, 4th, a few of your competitors were ones that battled back to the consolation bracket to earn places on the podium. And I'm guessing for you, a good showcase of resiliency early in the season.
Absolutely. You know, we brushed those maybe early losses off quickly and got right back on the mat and got after it. And that takes a lot of grit and perseverance just to get back out there and keep wrestling through that backside, which a lot of them showed a lot of tenacity and did that and earned a lot more team points for us.
Bella, we saw you came onto the scene last year and did so many incredible things at 180, and this year you start the season with a big win. How impactful is the first meet? You're now in your 2nd year. You're considered a veteran, although you're still an underclassman. How important is it to get off to the start that you individually and as a team did this season, just knowing the grind of what you're going to have to go through this year, specifically next weekend and then moving forward?
I think it does give us a lot of motivation. It was cool to do so much better this year than last year. I wrestled 7 matches last year, and this year I only wrestled 4, and I got that championship. So it's good to see how 1 year has really made a difference.
And you're now, as I joked a second ago, but you're one of the leaders on the team because you have a lot of newcomers, whether it be transfers, freshmen, incoming students that are a part of this. What do you make, Coach, of trying to figure out your lineup early in the season? It's going to look different week to week, right? You're battling through some injuries and whatnot. What do you try to see early in the season as a head coach to make sure that your lineup is where it can be when you get to the meat of the season?
Pushing girls, you know, to improve and push each other. That's really what it is, you know, not so focused on, you know, who's making that lineup at the end of the season, because that's a long time away.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do and a lot of things can happen and change in between. So we're just working on the day-to-day process of getting better, pushing each other. And it's great. I think everyone will fall into place where they need to be. But yeah, we have depth, you know, we have a lot of people that can kind of move around and we can put a good lineup together, wherever that may be, you know, depending on our opponents and make them have a little room to juggle. So, you know, that's a threat and we're excited about that.
Obviously, the season's only a week old, but you started the season way earlier. Of course, you've started your practices really through the summer. How do you make of how the teams responded to the early season, the practices? It's intense. When you walk into the wrestling room and Coach Vandiver has practice going, you're full go, and you know that, Bella, and the rest of the team knows it. How do you feel like they've responded, Coach, so far earlier in the year?
Extremely well. Yes, absolutely. You can read a little body language. I mean, we're good at that too. But anytime there's, you know, a glitch or a moment of hesitation, they have their teammates and they pick them right back up. You hear words of encouragement being spread, and they're all pushing each other even harder and harder. So they've responded very well. They're learning about, you know, active recovery and weight management and nutrition and just sleep patterns and all just those good habits that are going to help them really perform well, do well in school, and help them succeed.
Wrestling is such a fascinating sport to me, whether it's men's or women's side, Bella, because, and now you've experienced this for a good portion of your life, is that it's such a process-oriented sport, right? It's literally starts as soon as the meet ends because you got to, like Coach said, eat right, drink right, you got to make weight, all those fun things. How long did it take you in your wrestling career to start getting used to the process of day by day, week by week? Every single day is important in its own special way. How long did it take before you started getting into that rhythm? And it can be years, months, days. I'm just curious.
It definitely took a while. My wrestling career definitely got serious my sophomore year of high school. So that's when I started the trial and error of what works for me. And then coming to college, it was a whole new ball game where it's like, yes, nutrition has to be on point. Yes, The warm-up has to be good. Yes, you do have to put on sweats and you do have to warm up before these matches because it's such a grind. So I think it's really important, absolutely.
So now you're one meet in, but the grind of the season literally begins at the beginning. We were all joking that you've scheduled as such that you don't really have a lot of downtime, and I'm sure that's an exciting part, something that you really want to test the team, Coach. You end this ESU Open, and now you get ready for the Adrian Invite, the Adrian Duels. What are you looking for when you go that direction Saturday, Sunday? Is it something that you're just trying to build upon? What's going to be the key coming up this weekend?
Yeah, building upon, taking what we've learned, and again, just those day-to-day, those little things, in wrestling, it's hard to master. So you're just going to make small adjustments each week. And so that's what we're doing. But we're really excited for the Adrian because we get to go and compete in the duels first as a team. And that's just a really unique dynamic. It brings our team together. That's really cool to see. So we get the best of both worlds this weekend. So we're really looking forward to that, to have our duels on Saturday and then an individual tournament on Sunday.
I'll ask you both this question, but I'm fascinated to get your thoughts on this, Bella, first. If you could describe this team in one word, it's early in the year, I get that, but you've been around this team long enough. What's the motto, the theme, the one word that this team is going to be built on this season?
Oh, there's a lot.
It can be a phrase too, I guess. It doesn't have to be one word.
I think we're all very selfless, and we are ready to help each other whenever.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like day by day, whether it's practice or competing in duels?
If someone needs an extra second just to breathe, or they need a little bit of comfort or a hug, or just like, oh, let me help you with this or that, it's very apparent that we will do whatever we can to help our teammates. And so that kind of team culture has definitely been just amazing to be around. It's like, even our transfers coming in, they're like, this team is like, they really love each other. Like it's truly a team.
Yeah.
So that's been awesome.
You said in the pre-season interviews, there was something that I really thought was fascinating is last year you said you were a team. This year you became a team. Can you just explain what that meant for those who heard it but didn't necessarily understand it?
Yeah, so Coach Aaron was the one that coined that term at our banquet. She's the one that said that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's really like coming in, it was we are a team. Like, we are on the same team, but then us connecting in such a way, and then us pushing each other to be the best in academics and on the wrestling mat, and just in social life too. It's just like we are together, like we are a unit, and we're all just going to be there for each other.
I'm sure for you, Aaron, it's been great for everyone, but for you specifically to watch this program grow and build into what it is. And of course, we've talked at nauseum about the NCAA and now the fact that you're a part of that. We'll talk to you about that in a second. But what has it been like for you getting to see this program being built up through your vision and what you've been able to see? And just take me through what that process has been like for you.
Very, very neat. Yeah, extremely cool experience just to come in. And again, like I said, when I came in, there was a team there, but just building those connections, those bonds, and becoming a team and having it grow into something that we're really proud of. There's a good tradition, at Gannon Athletics and Erie area, but just creating our own legacy and kind of redefining that too, and just in higher marks each year. And that's what, is really cool to see, that these girls realize what they're capable of and just kind of opening up their perspective to that.
I can imagine that there's been a lot of buzz throughout the country about the excitement of the NCAA opportunity for women's wrestling. And we've talked about it at length as a team and how excited you are for it. But when you went to ESU, you were around 35 other teams. Did that conversation continue to materialize? What's the buzz around women's wrestling at the excitement of being able to participate in the NCAA?
Yeah, absolutely. It was exciting. As we have, the kickoff season, that was our, kickoff season event. And it's an NCAA sport now. So it is. It's a cool buzz, and we don't want to forget about it. So there's definitely mat side talk, and what's really neat is we have Division I, Division II, Division III, all competing against each other. Club teams that are now becoming Division I, II, Ivy Leagues, and stuff like that. So it's a really unique and cool environment, and it's a special buzz.
How about for you, Bella? We've asked a few of the student athletes about this, and you come in as a freshman, and we saw the run the team went on last year. And now this year, there's another great layer added on top of it. Have you gotten a chance to sit back for a second and just think about what this means to you, what this means to the team?
I think it's really important just for us to be like, yes, this is a sport and it is noticed, and we are competing to have that kind of view other people have of us. Like, yes, we are for sure a sport and a team, and we're not going anywhere, and we're just going to keep, raising the bar on college women's wrestling and women's wrestling everywhere in high schools and everything.
I want to ask you, Coach, before we wrap this up, because it seems like a long way away, but you're just a month away from what's going to be your big event at home, and again in women's duels, and what you're hosting for the first time here. Take me through the excitement about that, what we expect to see when all the teams come your way? Because I feel like that's something that when we get to December, that will be the highlight of the month. Take me through the excitement around that.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that one in our Highmark Event Center. Bringing in, 7 other teams to do kind of a World Cup format. The duels are fun for teams, and not just traveling that far to get one duel, but able to get 4, 5, or 6. You go again against Division 1, 2, and 3 teams all together in one place. Just a day of battling the best against the best. So we're excited. It's going to be loud. It's going to be electric, and we're excited to host it.
Bella wants 12 matches in that day on Saturday. She was telling me that she had 11 last year was her record. She may have more this year, maybe not, but you'd like 12, right? Is that the goal?
Uh-huh.
What's the most amount of matches you've ever wrestled in a day? Is it 11?
The cap is 7. So I've wrestled 7, and then the next day I've wrestled 4. And
so 11 in a 2-day span.
Yeah.
Goodness. Well, maybe you'll get to 14 at some point. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's this day and age,
Good.
anything's on the table. First of all, I want to thank you both for being part of this podcast. It's great to have you both on. Obviously, congratulations on your performance on Sunday.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see what you do this season. It's young, but we're already off and rolling. So best of luck, and thanks again to both of you for being with us tonight.
Thanks,
Thank
Isaac.
you.
Go next.
At John Russell Hospitality, every restaurant tells a story of flavor, community, and unforgettable moments. From handcrafted meals to welcoming spaces, we bring people together around a table. John Russell Hospitality, where great food meets genuine companionship. Make sure to visit one of our 6 locations today.
All right, back with you on the United Podcast. Thanks again to Bella Phillips, head coach Aaron Vandiver for being with us on the show tonight. Tom Boyd said you crushed it back there. He's going to be on the show next week, by the way, so wrestling abound on the United Podcast for the next couple of weeks. All right, let's go ahead and take you through some of the awards and accolades that were won by Gannon student athletes and teams in the previous week. First, we want to congratulate both men's and women's soccer for appearing in big numbers in the first ranked renditions of the NCAA regional rankings. Of course, the first renditions came out last week. They were in alphabetical order, so there's no seeding involved with that. But men's soccer, of course, fresh off of their win tonight, 8-0 against Cal, and of course, fresh off of a PSAC West regular season division championship. They are currently ranked 6th in the NCAA Super Regional 1. That, of course, includes 12 teams from across the East region and beyond. So head coach Billy Colton and his team now 11-2-4 after their win against Cal tonight. They'll open the PSAC tournament next week, and they will be hosting said PSAC tournament at McConnell Family Stadium, so make sure to come on out for that. Not to be outdone, women's soccer also appearing in the regional rankings, sitting second in the first ranked rendition, just behind Westchester, but they're going to get that opportunity if they can move through the tournament to play a lot of the teams that are currently sitting in the top half of that regional ranking. Their first opponent, Gannon, in the PSAC tournament will be Shepherd. That game is at McConnell Family Stadium on Tuesday. It'll be the first game of the PSAC quarterfinal for the Golden Knights, so they'll look to beat Shepherd and advance in what could be a potential matchup with Westchester looming later that week. So again, congratulations to both teams for receiving those honors in the Atlantic region. Of course, we mentioned volleyball was just officially clinched last week, the top seed in the PSAC West, and they are also appearing in the first rendition of the NCAA Atlantic regional rankings. They're, of course, in alphabetical order, though, so we'll get the numerical rankings coming up next week. Hey, in case you missed it earlier today on GannonSports.com, we posted our November theme nights for Gannon men's and women's basketball. If you want fun and you want an opportunity to come see the men's and women's basketball teams, make sure to check out what we have in store for November theme nights. The Gary Miller Classic, the Atlantic Regional Challenge, a food drive for Store United, and more, all featured in our November theme nights. We'll be announcing and revealing those nights each month to give you an exciting opportunity to watch Gannon men's and women's basketball at the Highmark Event Center this upcoming winter. Let's take a look at that schedule that we have coming up for the D2 CCA Tip-Off Classic. Again, here are the games that will be at Gannon coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tomorrow at 5, it's North Georgia and Ferris State. So fans, if you want to do some scouting, Gannon's Sunday opponent is North Georgia. So come at 5 o'clock for the opening game, and then, of course, stay as the Golden Knights open up their season under head coach Cleve Wright to take on Union, 5-2 in the country. on Friday night in a matchup that no one will want to miss. Cal PA versus Minnesota State will be the 5 o'clock game on Saturday. The Golden Knights will take on Northern Michigan Saturday evening. Then on Sunday, Cal PA taking on Ferris State and the Golden Knights against the 4th-ranked team of the country in North Georgia. That's coming up Sunday at 4 p.m. As we continue along through our United podcast, one of the things that we want to recognize, as we do every day, but officially doing so yesterday and today, is the NCAA's Belonging Campaign that Gannon is, of course, participating in, as well as all PSAC institutions. The Belonging Campaign highlights student athletes and why they belong on campus and feel included both in and outside of the field of competition. On Wednesday, our members of our administrative team, as well as several student athletes, shared why they belong at Gannon and various reasons as to why they know that Gannon is home for them. So we want to thank the student athletes for taking time out of their schedule to be a part of that Belonging Campaign yesterday. Today, we did some selfies with supporters, identifying individuals throughout our community, on campus, and in our family that have supported us through our journey, both as a student athlete and as an administrator or a member of the faculty and staff. Gannon, of course, is extremely excited to be a part of the NCAA Belonging Campaign, and thanks everyone that was a part of our campaign and everyone who's been a part of the community that has helped Gannon be the great university that it is. And we're happy to be able to recognize those individuals both now and each and every single day throughout the entire season. All right, let's continue along on the United podcast. We have a few more minutes left before we wrap our show up tonight. Again, a reminder, our dish of the day here at UPick6 Public House are the Reuben rolls. They're delicious. It's like a Reuben sandwich, but you get 6 of them, and they are something that is, without a doubt, one of the best things on this menu at the UPick6 Public House. Make sure to get it today on West 26th Street, part of John Russell Hospitality. Of course, the Golden Ticket giveaway continues around this area and every single week on the United Podcast. If you come to the show in person, wherever we're streaming live on location every Thursday, you get entered into a chance at the end of the season to win a free season ticket for an entire year. You'll win free basketball, football season tickets, plus reserved seating at every single Gannon Athletics event that year. Attend the podcast in person, show proof of purchase, and you get entered. You can enter one time every week into that hat at the end of the year for a chance to win season tickets for free for life. All right, a few minutes left in our podcast, so that means it's time for what we consider our favorite segment of the entire week. It's our top 5 plays of the week. A little different this week. We didn't have a ton of home events, so this week it's a combination of great plays and great performances and accolades from this past week. Let's go ahead and run down what our top 5 moments, plays, and accolades are for the week that was ending October and into November. At number 5, how about Bangasu Arsalan? She is the setter, the senior setter on this Gannon women's volleyball team, eclipsing 4,000 career assists in a victory this past weekend for the Golden Knights. Sue has been a stalwart performer for Gannon throughout her entire career on campus, and we congratulate her on that achievement. At number 4, how about Logan Salat, one of 5 Gannon men's wrestlers who were crowned individual champion at the Mount Union Invitational. They were all first, as was the team, taking home the team championship in their first meet of the season. Tom Boyd has his squad locked, loaded, and ready to roll for the rest of the season. They are doing some yeoman's work. At number 3, hey, you might remember her. Just had her on the podcast. Bella Phillips taking home first place in the East Stroudsburg Open at 180 pounds. Gannon taking 5th out of 36 teams. A very strong team effort for the Golden Knights. So congratulations to Bella, Coach Vandiver, and the team for a great start to the season. We expect more great things throughout the entire year. At number 2, we have a tie because there were 2 clinching scenarios that came to pass this past week. Men's soccer clinching the PSAC West Regular Season Division Championship, as did volleyball. Both teams will be the top Western seed in their respective tournaments. Of course, men's soccer next week, women's volleyball a couple of weeks from now. At number 1, how about Jesse Watkins finding the top corner in between 2 defenders, no less, in the Golden Knights' 3-0 win against Clarion. Never easy when you've got 4 opposing jerseys right around you, but Jesse made it look easy. No problem. The keeper just had to watch as the ball flies into the back of the cage. And the Golden Knights get the dub over Clarion. Hey, how about the last 2 days for Gannon men's and women's soccer? Combined 11-0 final between the men's and women's victories to close the regular season, both yesterday and today. So congratulations to our top 5 plays, moments, and accolades of the week. as we wrap up the final week of October and start a new fresh month here in November for the United Podcast. All right, that's going to do it for our show tonight. First and foremost, we're thrilled to be here at the UPick6 Public House. Great crowd behind us, everyone enjoying the great food, drink, and atmosphere that is part of the John Russell Hospitality Group. We want to thank John Russell Hospitality, as always, for being such a big part of our podcast and for letting us stream here at the Public House. We're right here for the rest of the month of November. Can't wait to be with you. We'll have shows each and every single Thursday, excluding Thanksgiving, throughout the entirety of the month of November as we roll along different locations from UPick6 and John Russell Hospitality. Next week, busy week as well. We'll recap the Tip-Off Classic. We'll continue our playoff push. John Melody, the owner of John Russell Hospitality, is going to be joining us, and Tom Boyd, who's actually here right now. You can see him in the background. He's maybe getting some prep work in for the podcast that will come next week. He's going to be a part of that show. In addition to John Melody next week as well. He'll talk some men's wrestling along with the student athletes. So make sure to join us next week at 6 o'clock, right back here at the UPick6 Public House. Thanks again, everybody, for being a part of our show tonight. We cannot do it without all of you, our supporters and fans of Gannon Athletics. We'll see you tomorrow at the D2 CCA Tip-Off Classic, Saturday at McConnell Family Stadium for football, then back at the Highmark Event Center, and Sunday to wrap up the Tip-Off Classic as well. Make sure to stay tuned, stay online, stay connected for all of our Gannon Athletic events on GannonSports.com, plus our social medias. The admin's pretty cool, just saying. We do a lot of posting with all of our teams and get some cool creative segments along the way too. So make sure that you stick with us each and every single day on our social media channels. Until next week, everybody, we'll see you bright and early at 6 p.m. back at the Public House on November 13th. Make sure to stay safe, stay warm, and break out those shovels because I hear Mother Nature's got some snow in the forecast. Take care.